What's up, guys? I'm Benkert, and this video is for those of you that bought my book, The Football NBA, Think Like a Quarterback. I'm going to go through the table of contents and the brief overview of the book and what's inside, using Madden as the visual tool in practice mode, just to show some of the high-level things that you'll see in the table of contents and give you an idea of what it's going to look like inside of the book and how I'm going to be teaching. This by no means is a replacement for the book, but just a little bit of a guide and a kickstart to get you down the path of understanding and learning football the way that it's taught in the NFL in quarterback rooms like the ones I spent 5 years in. Let's not wait any longer. Let's get to the video. All right, one thing I've realized since starting this company is that there are football fans all around the world and at all different levels of understanding. Some people that are starting from the very beginning and some people that are really deep and complex. Just like the NFL, you don't know who gets in the door and at what level of understanding they get in. So when you're a rookie in the NFL, they strip everything down to the bare basics and start from scratch so they can account for everyone having learned through the system from ground zero all the way up to the calculus level. So that's what I did with my book. And we're going to start here with the NFL basics. I go through the NFL team structure, the basic rules, the scoring, the penalties, and the rosters and player roles. That's kind of like the basis of what is the NFL in general. That's part one. And then part two, we get into defense. And in my opinion, defense is the most important part to understand because offenses in the NFL predicate a lot of what they do based on what is the defense showing them. What personnel are they in? What coverages are they pre-snap aligning in? What's the leverage look like? What's on the field? Everything. It all matters. So in my book, I break it down by defensive positions to start. You have the D linemen, you have the linebackers, and you have the DBs. And then we go into what type of defense do they run traditionally? Is it a 3-4 defense like you see here where there's 3 down linemen and 4 linebackers, but the edge linebackers are really versatile. They can rush the passer too and play a little bit of coverage. Or is it a 4-3 defense like this where the 4 down linemen are guys that are just going to be rushing the quarterback and the 3 linebackers, even though these two have guys walked up on the edge, are going to be more traditional linebackers, guys that play more coverage than rush. This look right here in this defense is a 6-1, which is more of a heavy look, but sometimes you can have it look like this in a 4-2-5 where it's a little bit different, a little bit more versatile, and they bring in a safety. You can see that number 8 right there. He's going to be a safety. But all of this changes a lot, and everything changes on offense based on what the defense does. So here, if they want to substitute C.J. Gardner-Johnson out for maybe a DB or another safety, like things change and the offense takes note of that and they call plays differently depending on it. And then you get into nickel defense where there's another DB, number 33's in there. Then they get into a 3-3 cub. Like there's a lot of different variations, and all of this we talk about in my defensive section of the book. Then we get into talking about the defensive line and their gaps and their techniques. Everything matters. When you slide your defensive line over, things change. When you widen them out, things change. And when you tighten them down, things change. All of this matters, and all of this changes what the offense does when they're targeting in run game or when they're blocking in pass protection. So the gaps and techniques lead us into the fronts and the alignments. And then we get into the personnel groupings again where, look, this is nickel. There's 4 down linemen, 2 linebackers, and 5 DBs. Then you change it and there's dime. And in this version of dime, there's 3 down linemen. There looks to be 1 to 2 linebackers, and there's 6 DBs. Things change. And everyone's dime is a little bit different. Like this defensive dime, this is a 2-3 Sam, where some defenses dimes are more structured like nickel. They just go and they substitute this guy out for a safety. Everything is different and things are always changing, and that's why there's so much nuance to this game. And I think that using Madden as the visual tool to teach this can actually make it sink in for a lot of people, and it won't take years and years and years. We also talk about coverages and shell types. We talk about 2 high shells like these or 1 high shells like these. And shells can sometimes have the same coverages behind them, or sometimes they're disguising. You just never know, but all of it matters. We talk about zone coverage. We talk about variations of man coverage. And then we even get into the different blitz types. And now one of my favorite things about Madden is that using offense to teach, honestly, is so easy in this game because you can do a lot. And we're going to just go grab an 11 personnel set here and just talk a little ball. Grab corner strike, and then we're going to put the defense in a nickel defense because a lot of teams in the NFL match nickel defense to 11 personnel. All right, so now let's talk. On offense, we go through the positions. You have your running back, you have your tight end, and you have your 3 receivers. There's also fullbacks and heavy sets, and we get into personnel groupings. Right here, this is 11. Then we get into 12, 21, 13. All that to say that personnels matter, and personnels, if you guys do not know, and I have to go back a step, is basically what groupings on the field. 1 running back, 2 tight ends, the rest are receivers. Is it 2 running backs, 1 tight end, the rest receivers? Like all of that matters. And then the defense will match their personnel in the field, whether it be nickel, base, dime, based on what the offense does and the percentages that they run certain types of plays out of. So before the ball's even snapped, these coaches are looking at what is each other doing, what have they done historically, and what do they think they'll do for that game within reason. Then we get into different schemes, and this is where it gets good. You have your drop back pass scheme or game. You have your RPO scheme. You have your inside zone off a fake jet. And these schemes are built with West Coast, air raid philosophies, drop back, vertical passing philosophies, power run philosophies. All these schemes break down, and then there's these play types within them that everybody has a different play type that they like to run. And it changes year to year, and sometimes it changes month to month depending on who's healthy. There's so much that goes into this. Then we talk about different formation types where guys move around, and maybe they get into a speed set where there's a tight end by itself and a bunch of receivers on one side of the field. Or maybe they get into a trips bunch set. You see a lot of Madden guys run this. Then you have shifts, pass protections, how you change it, why each one's used. There's a lot in this book. And then last but not least, part of the offensive section, we get into progressions and reads, route types and combinations, and everything that builds like the plays and how they're actually ran. Like this one. This play, I would be reading this bottom to high, left to right. So I'm looking Christian Watson to Romeo Dobbs to maybe Kraft if they're going to have a safety that rotates down, but I'm going to go RB to B to Y and then progress deeper if guys pull up. That's all I'm looking at here. RB to B, got him. And so every play has a progression and different coverages change what the progression looks like. And we talk about that in an overarching view in this book. And that's not even everything. In the NFL, you got to remember there's also special teams units. There's field goals, there's punts, there's kickoffs. There's a lot of different things that go into it, and all of those matter. So we break down special teams. Then we go into the game plan. What does it look like to scout other teams and their play style and all of that, which then leads to the game plan installation schedule, what it looks like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, then leading up into Sunday in the NFL. And then we bring us home with the key statistics that matter on game day, that matter throughout the week and as the season progresses, both defensively, offensively, and how all of this matters into trying to get a W on Sundays to bring it home for your team. And then I left a bonus section talking about my favorite parts of playing quarterback in the NFL, the tips, the tricks, all of that good stuff that I learned over my 5 years of being around some of the best to ever play and ever sling the pigskin. All of that jam-packed into about 200 pages of knowledge from my time in the NFL, delivered in a way that I think is digestible, fun to learn, and with a visual aid that is Madden. I think you guys are going to enjoy it. If you already have gotten it, this video is for you. If you haven't gotten it yet, I encourage you to check it out. I think it's going to change the way that you see the game, appreciate the game, and just enjoy it from top to bottom. I'll catch you guys next time.